Please.
Minimal practice.
I do this every week.
Minimal practice.
Hello, everybody.
Epic typo.
HADOKEN. Yeah, you spell. There's actually alternate ways to flip to spell HADOKEN, like real talk. So before we epic typo anybody, you actually can spell with the O or the OU. It depends on where you're looking at it. I don't think that's a problem. All right, everybody. My name is Jarvis White. I am going to be one of your panelists today. I am the CEO, kind of, the New Challengers. We're a charity group. We go overseas, Afghanistan, that wonderful place, and I host video game tournaments for soldiers. So when I'm not hosting the video game tournaments, mostly fighting game tournaments, I help teach them games like Street Fighter and things of that nature, typos aside, jokes aside. And this is my friend Marvin.
Hello, I'm Marvin. I am just a really big enthusiast of fighting games. So what I will bring to the panel is pretty much your guys' perspective. Kind of a beginner / intermediate player that just learned a lot from watching other people play and watching other people's streams, etc. Like, I don't have the best mechanics, I don't have the best reactions, etc. I just really enjoy the genre itself.
All right, so let's talk to the audience for a second. How many of you would consider yourselves to be like expert players? Yes.
In the back, huh?
Hold on, this is geared mainly for beginners or whatever, but we'll have a dive kick exhibition at the end. Maybe you guys can react out there. We'll see.
All right. This panel, how about beginners?
How many beginners we have?
Beginners? All right, we got a lot of beginners. This panel is for you. Quite honestly, you know, it's kind of daunting getting into it. You might be playing, you're thinking like, why can't I block, or why can't I do this or that? And we're going to show you things to think about so that you know how to practice. Because the key to getting good at anything is knowing how to practice. Because practice makes permanence.
So we have a couple goals for the panel. We just want to bring, wow, that numbering system, please. All number one.
They're all very important, all right?
Let's all talk about it at once.
All of these.
So, like I said, I'm going into draft. So awareness, we just want to bring awareness and like what the fighting game community can do. For example, the Smash Brothers community raised over, I think it was $250,000 for breast cancer. And that was just to get their game into the biggest fighting tournament. They raised money for Nintendo to say, okay, we'll let you put our game in the tournament. Awareness also, like, it doesn't take that much to learn. Of course, it takes years or a lot of time to master, but the bar of entry isn't as high as people think. We'll also go over some basic concepts that you'll need to watch. Like, if you ever watch a stream, or if you ever like buy yourself a fighting stick or buy yourself some fighting game, some basic concepts that you'll need to know in order to play the game. And then again, some lingo that some games and some people use when they describe certain things. Some lingo such as Dragon Punch, Shoryuken, etc. Alright. So first we're going to go over the genre overview. It's all fighting games are pretty much the same. That's why they're in the genre itself of fighting games. They all have similarities that put them together. And there's two major types of the game. There's 2D and 3D fighters. And they pretty much all involve attacking, defending, and making sure you can beat down your opponent, punch them in the face.
All right.
Beat 'em ups count as well?
Let's go over that real quick. All right. Let me talk about genres. My opinion on genres, just an opinion. Frequently, I'll have soldiers come up to me and say, "You guys do fighting games. Do you do UFC?" No, sir, I do not do UFC. For one, I don't know how to play that game. For two, it's not well balanced for a tournament type setup because everybody's going to play Anderson Silva. Here's the deal with genres. I consider Fight Night UFC, games like that, to be sports simulators. Beat 'em ups, they're their own thing, kind of like shoot 'em ups, you know? Your top-down shooters and things like that. So Final Fight, I wouldn't consider that a fighting game. There is fighting, there is combos, but you don't have that aspect of competition between two players, attacking and defending and things like that. It's not like playing Tekken or Street Fighter or Soul Calibur or something like that.
I think it's primarily the fighting game genre is more of like one-on-one competition, whereas beat 'em ups is you like co-op versus the.
There are exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, when you look at fighting games, there's set things that you have. We'll go over that. Go on with 2D and 3D, 2D games, popular ones, King of Fighters, Street Fighter, Guilty Gear, Blaze Blue, things of that nature. 3D, Soul Calibur, Virtual Fighter, Tekken, Dead or Alive. 3D, you have 3D movement, foreground and background. 2D, mostly you have a flat plane that you're moving left and right on. Alright, let's talk about 3D fighters, movement. Now, this panel isn't gonna really go over 3D fighters as much. For one, that's not my forte. I know some guys that are really good at Tekken and they're like, oh man, we do this, we got cool, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, that's cool, bro. Good job. Glad you're hosting Final Round this year. But that's not me. That's not me. Alright, I know a lot of guys in the industry, I know a lot of big names, and it's their thing. They love Tekken, they love DOA, that's fine. We're going to stick most of the 2D. The entry level for 2D is lower than 3D. You're going to find playing 3D fighters is very difficult to defend. That's why you get a lot of, sorry to say, scruffy players. I see soldiers playing the USO, I'm the best at Tekken, never been beat. Well, you're pressing buttons a lot, and it's really hard to defend in a 3D fighter because you're standing there, things hit low, things high.
Oh,
sorry.
No worries. Feel bro.
Dude, that
Yeah, a
guy.
little bit of Harang, a little bit of Eddie Gordo, you see it all the time. It's alright, I respect the good players. I've seen a lot of good players. Movement in 3D fighters can be very difficult, like in Tekken, or can be very easy, like in DOA or Soul Calibur. But it's very, very important. If you're playing a 3D fighter and you're not sidestepping, you're doing something wrong.
So like you mentioned before, there's the foreground and the background. You're able to move. So normally when you look at the screen, right, you can only see the character. You move in a 3D arena, and that's how you sidestep.
Yes.
Because moves obviously have a 3D space. You're not in a 2D plane where all your attacks, will hit as long as they're in range. You also have to consider where they are positional-wise. There's also the reaction. Jarvis mentioned it's a lot harder to react to things, and that's true because you don't have to just realize where people are on the screen. You also have to realize, are they behind me as well? So that's a lot harder to anticipate. There's more rules to think about. Quit being behind me, man.
That's the part of 3D fighters. I get throws for free now, unless you're hold up.
So I have a couple pictures. The one on the far left is just character 3D model, whatever, Nightmare, because he has a giant sword. And you can just imagine, so in a 3D fighter, you have not only just your single, overhead, but you also have giant sweeps of your sword. So you have to imagine, okay, so if this character is over here, I'll still be able to hit him because my sword will hit him. It's just stuff like that. The top one is Gundam Full Speed, Extreme Boost. There's a lot of adjectives. I consider that a 3D fighter because it's the same base, but it also uses the 3D plane. You also have to move vertically as well as like laterally and and then it's really hard to see that. I apologize, but it's basically just a giant raft, and this is kind of unique to 3D fighters because if you don't have an arena, it becomes essentially a 2D fighter. You have to worry about things like ring out. If you're in an arena and you knock the person out, they automatically lose. It's kind of like sumo wrestling. If you knock the guy out of the circle, they lose.
All right, 2D fighters. This is my bread and butter. Bread and butter. We'll talk about what that means later. There's lots of different types of 2D fighters. Do not go into a KOF player and say it's the same thing as Street Fighter. They'll get really upset, and then they'll be like, no, it's not. They'll argue for days and days. They'll never understand each other. All right? Murphy said never argue with a fool because no one will tell the difference. Never argue with somebody that's sick off the same as Street Fighter. Just let it go. You don't know. You're not going to say Guilty Gear is the same as Street Fighter because a Guilty Gear player is going to go, ah, ha, 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 I'm so much better at life than you. It doesn't matter how many different types of 2D fighters are. The most important part of 2D fighters are spacing. You've got a 2D plane. A lot of people that tell me will come up to me and say, it doesn't take any skill to play Street Fighter. I can throw fireballs at you all day, and I choose Makoto, and I choke them to death and kill them. And they're like, what happened? Why did I lose? Because of spacing.
You have to realize, and kind of to go along with this point, a 2D plane, everything you have is basically squares. So like that fireball that you throw out, there's a square around that called a hitbox, and if that touches your character's hurt box, you'll get damaged. It's different than 3D fighters because 3D fighters use different unit collision detection to detect whether or not something passes through their character's body.
And on that note, let's talk about really quick with priority. I know a lot of you might be starting to heard the term priority. It doesn't exist. What priority is how your hitbox and your hurtbox work. The only time priority exists are in games like Smash Brothers Brawl when you're playing with the GameCube controller, or Mortal Kombat 9, where they have player 1 priority or slot 4 priority. Slot 4 Meta Knight. Oh yeah, there we go. So what priority is it saying my move beats your move because it is this. What's really happening, unless it's a counter, is their hitbox is hitting your hurtbox. Now if your hitboxes clash at the same time on the hurtboxes, you get a trade. You both hit each other at the same time. Mortal Kombat 9, if you're player 1 always wins that trade. Sorry.
They're really lazy at coding. They didn't want to put in that. Which makes me really sad as a programmer, but whatever.
Now, so get that whole aspect of priority out of your head. Really what you're dealing with when you're dealing with spacing are numbers and boxes. Numbers being your frames, boxes being your hitboxes and hurtboxes. You want to have your box, Makoto's medium punch, you want to have your box hit them for their box. There you go. Now that HADOKEN, that's just all hurt.
Right. HADOKEN.
So I'm going to try to punch that, and I'll be like, oh, why am I pressing this button? Oh, my bad, it's an option select. My mistake.
So for example, we'll go over this as well. HADOKEN is a projectile, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a projectile that's going to fly through, and that's why it's
and there's two types of projectiles. You've got your physical projectiles, and you've got your durability, awesome plasma, cool fireballs. Everybody knows what fireball means, right? Rolento's knife, that's a physical projectile. You punch it out of the air. Do it all the time. Get out of here, Rolento. It's a knife. Okay, I'll punch that. He throws his fireball. HADOKEN. I punch that. I get burned. Whatever. Cool. Movement in a 2D plane is generally up and down, left and right. Now, I say this is important because when I teach people how to play games and I say press forward, and they go forward faster, they're like, what? I can dash? I'm like, yes, you can dash. Stop jumping. I understand that we all like to do the whole chicken blocking thing in Marvel 2, where you jump, because I can block everywhere now. Ah! You can't do that in most fighting games. You can't block in the air. You cannot block in the air. You have less options in the air than you do on the ground in a lot of fighting games. Exceptions to the rule, like games like Blaze Blue, where they have all these, oh, these attacks beat you in the air, but these don't, blah, blah, blah. The important part is, if you're going to play a fighting game, learn to fight on the ground first.
So, a lot of fighting games have different options. Again, learn your stuff on the ground first, because you might be overwhelmed with the amount of possibilities and things that you can do. So, just kind of ignore the things. Just pretend that they don't exist for a little bit. And then once you get more familiar with what you know, build on top of that and learn more options.
I'll tell you right now, if you can beat someone on the ground, they don't know what they're doing, and they're jumping at you, and you're just like, I'm going to knock you down with this one button. I'm going to knock you down. They're going to get mad. And they're going to be like, well, I'll play your same game. They can't play your game.
So movement, obviously you have your up, down, left, right.
We're talking about 2D now, all right?
Yeah.
So all you 3D fans, some of these things are applicable, but mostly focused on 2D.
Yeah. So for example, in a 3D plane, if you press down or up, that moves you into the foreground, background. That's how you sidestep. But for a 2D fighter, that's why you can literally just move back and forth. And then you have your special movement like walking, jumping, dashing.
And also have what's called wave dash. 3D, shout out.
Alright. So this is Street Fighter 4, maybe.
This is
Maybe.
coming up. We got Street Fighter 4. We're gonna demonstrate with good old Ryu. What's up, Ryu? How you doing, man? Kind of old, bro. All right, he just threw a Hadoken. Okay, slow it down for him. Hey, don't come in with buck 50 like that, man.
Sorry.
Let's slow it down. Let's talk about movement. Press to the left, Marvin.
So you can. We put in tracking. This is training mode, but you can obviously see the different commands.
Now, first step to practicing a fighting game. You see all this over here? Do it. Turn it on. Turn on your buttons. Don't be like the soldiers that come up to me or some marine or whatever, like, why is my move not coming out? I'm like, please turn on the buttons really quick. And he's pressing all these buttons, like, it's not coming out. And I say, all right, it looks like you're pressing something entirely different, and you're choosing the wrong character. My character select and press this and say, it's like, it works, it's amazing, I'm so happy, I can do a shape of HADOKEN. Very good. Go home. All right. So, press to the left, Marvin. That is back. All right? When somebody tells you to hold back in a fighting game, don't get mad. I had a dude get mad at me. It's like, how do I block? I said, hold back. I'm not holding back. Put the gun down. Press in the opposite direction of where you're facing. Most commands in 2D fighters or 3D fighters consider you facing to the left, to the right. See? Ryu is facing to the right. He's looking Honda dead in the face, and he looks upset. He doesn't have shoes. I'd be upset too. Press to the right, Marvin. He's going forward. Look at that. Down. Crouch. He's just crouching and up. He's jumping. Now sometimes you can press down up really fast and you do what's called a super jump, but that's not in Street Fighter 4. But we're just focused on our man Ryu right now. Another thing for fighting games, we picked Ryu. Do not be afraid to pick the title character. No one's going to think you're scrubby. No one's going to think you're cheap if you choose Ryu. He's good to start with to learn the game. We have Ryu and Honda because they have a very versatile selection of moves. Ryu here, you've done your little movement deal. Jump forward, Marvin. Don't do that to travel across the screen. Don't. As soon as I see you doing that, I'm just going to punch you up, jump up, kick you, dash punch you. You're going to jump again. And you're going to, what? I'm going to beat you eventually. Some guy told me that. Don't get that in your mind either. If it doesn't work the first 30 times, don't do it 31 times. And if it works the 31st time, shame on you. Jump back, please. You're jumping backwards. Oh, wow. Y'all might think this is dumb. You don't understand the importance of not jumping. Press forward, please. Look, you dash. You move faster on the ground. That's amazing. Marvin, can you do me a favor? Back all the way up across the screen. Press down to back, quarter circle back, and kick. You can travel with that. You can go across the screen with that if you want to. You can use normal moves and special moves to move yourself around. That's a whole another level of thinking. But it's important when you start the game to realize that if you have a move that moves you forward, you might have put it in there for a reason. Maybe your dash is really slow, or maybe it goes really far, like my girl Makoto. She dashes really far. She's running headlong into traffic. And I want to say, no, just press forward. Press forward. All right.
A lot of characters are balanced around their movement as well as the moves that they have. Like you mentioned, Makoto has a dash punch that basically is instantaneous. Not quite, but it moves you quite far across the screen. And that's why she walks pretty slow. It's because they give you tools to use, and they intend for you to, well, not spamming them, use them intelligently to position yourself.
Backdash, please. Oh, backdash. You need to get away. You're blocking. Backdash a little bit. back dash. You get back faster, you jump in the air, you're a little bit invincible, you're good to go. Street Fighter 4. Alright, we're going back to the slideshow now. We're going to go over some things and flip back to Street Fighter and demonstrate some things pretty well.
So in attacks, there are different attacks to a fighting game. As you can imagine, you want to punch your opponent in the face, or you want to kick them in the face, or the crotch, whatever.
You pretty much want to have your fist or foot or head or quills contact their body until the life bar depletes.
Here's Mount Blanca.
Okay. It's okay. We're not going to hate on Blanca. Normals. These are your normals for Street Fighter. You have light punch, medium punch, heavy punch. Light kick, medium kick, heavy kick.
And there are some lingo that goes along with that. Back in the old days, where old-timers really decided to come up with fancy names, they wanted to give a unique name to each of these instead of just describing exactly what they are. So they came up with jab,
Strong.
jab,
Jab, strong.
fierce,
Yes.
short, forward, roundhouse.
Ah, so when you watch a stream of your favorite fighting game and they use that lingo, go ahead and post in the stream box. Get with the times, old man! Because we need to move on to something that everyone can understand. We want to bring fighting games to the people, to the mainstream. We keep using stuff from 1985. It's not going to be good.
It's not. So I think it's a lot easier, and while you can memorize those names like roundhouse, fierce, whatever, I think it's a lot easier to just say, this is a medium punch, this is a crouching medium punch, etc.
Also, please understand, it's Street Fighter specific. In KOF, you don't need that extra 7 buttons. Okay? We just need 4 buttons. In dive kick, we only need 2 buttons. Alright?
We only need, we'll have that later. The bar of entry for dive kick is extremely easy. You have 2 buttons. There's no like fancy combo system. You literally jump in the air and you kick somebody in the face.
Yes. Doing a lot of that.
Kung Lao defense.
There you go. Alright, specials.
Normal special.
Let's talk about special normals here real quick. Now, I recommend that when you start playing your favorite character, you take them to training mode. First do your trials, do your tutorial mode, and take them to training mode. And sit on the ground and press each of your buttons. Each of them. By themselves, jump up in the air, press them, crouch down, press them. Now what you're going to do is your special normals. Hold forward, hold back, hold down forward, hold down back. Press those buttons. Pull those levers. Just do it, alright? Now, Ryu, go ahead and jab for me real quick. Oh, look at that. It's so fast. It's blindingly fast. Medium punch. And heavy punch. Now, you want to go through here and kind of look. Now, the good thing about training mode is it's got squares on the ground. They're there to help you figure out the range of your attacks. That way, when you're on the ground playing footsies or trying to get in position to hit them so they can't hit you,
That's lingo that a lot of people use as footsies. It's important. Basically, it revolves around spacing yourself so they can't hit you, but you can hit them. It's being a cheapskate.
You're just trying to move in and out and find holes in their defense so that you can go. So you're pressing your buttons and you're trying to figure out what you want to do. Crouch down real quick. Press those buttons.
Whoops. Buttons, please.
Buttons, press them. You got your crouch jab, crouch medium punch. So you're going through and you're pressing buttons. You go to your tutorial mode, your trial mode to figure out what your basic combos are. Put them together and make awesome combos. And you got your jumping. Now in Street Fighter they change depending on if you jump forward or jump back. Like do you jump heavy kick straight up? Now do you jump in heavy kick? Change. It's different. He didn't do the crazy little tiny little Tetris block kick. Yeah, oh, he's different. They change depending on it. Now that's important to know too, because sometimes they change the property of your attack. People starting the game might not know this, so it's important to try everything first and then work it out. There's a lot of fighting games you need to do, your tools. Just because you only have 6 buttons to work with doesn't mean you only have 6 buttons. You got a lot of buttons. You have air moves, crouching, all kinds of stuff. Now hold forward, press heavy punch. That's not the heavy punch we all know and love. That's something horribly different. Press heavy punch again. by itself? Oh, that's weird. Go closer into it. No, no. Just press heavy punch. No,
Yeah?
pretty close.
Oh.
Oh, what's that? Why did it change? Look at that. 3 different heavy punches? What is this madness? Wow. When you're farther away, your attack changes sometimes. When you're closer, it changes to something else. This is also important for doing combos because sometimes your moves will whiff, miss, if you're not close enough and they're crouching or something. For instance, put behind the crouching moves. We have moves that are called crouchable highs. These are moves that you can duck under. Reuse. Stand heavy kick is one of them. Stand heavy kick. Oh, miss! Behind is just, I don't know what he's looking at, but very intent on dodging that kick. So you might want to do your heavy punch instead. Go closer, please. Heavy punch. Oh, he stood up. You stood up. You see that right there? You see how he flipped up like that? I want you to do something for me, Marvin. Do a crouch medium kick and press quarter circle back kick.
Let's see that again. Sorry.
Crouch medium kick, quarter circle back kick. Oh, it's over his head! Now, press crouch heavy punch, quarter circle back kick.
I'm so bad at this.
I believe in you.
Hold on, crouch medium.
Don't make me come over there. I knocked him down! Why didn't he crouch? Some moves force you to stand up. I'm only telling you these technical things to help you understand that when you start playing fighting games, there's a lot to them. Alright?
There's a lot to learn. Okay, so this is another thing. There's a lot of things to know. There's a lot of tools, but they don't ever change. Once you know some amount, you'll know that some amount.
You'll know that reuse crouchable, if something's crouchable high for one character, it's crouchable high for all characters with crouchable highs. So if you need to hit them with a move that flies over their head, you're going to want to force them to stand up first, you know, make them go to jail, and then put them back down again.
Make them
press forward, medium punch, please.
Forward.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
Oh, that's an overhead. If Honda were trying to block that, he wouldn't be able to.
We'll get to defenses.
Quarter, press down and heavy kick.
But squeeze.
That's a sweep. It knocks them down. Alright. Now your special normals would be that pressing punch you did earlier with a heavy punch. Do that. Going forward. And I also consider special normals to be moves where you press 2 different buttons to get a different move. Special moves are like a combination of different buttons to get a really different move.
You can combine your stuff. So normals is typically the lingo used for single button presses. Normal specials are generally, a combination of just two buttons or some combination of 2 buttons.
Like a throw.
Like a throw.
That was weak and medium, or both weak at the same time. Here. How about the blue? Alright. Let's head back to Sunshine. Special moves. We've had that up. We're gonna show you the notations, and we're gonna go through, and we're gonna show you go to the next slide.
Yeah.
Okay, this right here. Imagine you're facing to the right. Okay, I'm facing to the right now. Quarter circle back. That would be down, down, back, back.
So
Okay.
imagine kind of a joystick. These are the motions that you'll use. If you also want to imagine a keypad, which they use in Mortal Kombat, they can have numbered notations. So if you ever hear the usage of the word like down 1,
Like 214?
1439K. Those actually correspond to the number pad on your little computer. So take a look at the number pad if you have one on your keyboard and figure it out.
That's really
214.
Figure it out, man.
This quarter circle back,
There we go.
this is forward, down, 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 forward. It's like a Z motion. You do it on the pad, try to make it like a Z. That's what people commonly refer to as the Dragon Punch motion, or DP. And this, next to it, is the reverse Dragon Punch motion because it's to the back. And right here we have quarter circle forward, the ever popular Fireball motion. Half circle back, half circle forward,